Well, I told everybody I was getting up early. This is the first time in a long time. Usually, regardless of alarm clock or not, I wake up 20 after 7 o'clock at the latest. But, you know, with the week being the way it was, us getting home last night late, I literally slept in till 10 after 8. I told everybody I'd be there much early to train the horses today, so I was rushing to get to the barn this morning. I got there and thankfully, you know, Jason Merritt had everything lined up. All the horses were warmed up. It was really just jump on, jump off, jump on, jump off. I wanted to train 5 horses in particular today, and I wanted to get a look at all of them, see how they felt. Now, that wasn't training them hard, but that was letting them scoot a little bit on the end of it, bust them into the turn, just to see what they do. And that's the easiest way to see how they are. You know, after the mile, rock into the turn. You can see the horse, if they're going to run in, if they're getting out of gear, if they're getting a little tired, if they're going to interfere. These are things you can see. I was very happy with what I saw today. Now, I went with Judy's Money, who most definitely was on the top of my list. One, she's coming off an incredible mile. That win in 57 was impressive. 2, we had changed her shoes because she was interfering. Remember, I told you she was hitting that left hind up and down the shin in her race, but that was with an egg bar on. We had taken it off, changed all her shoes around, and I wanted to see how she felt. She felt great this morning. Very, very impressed with the way this filly's come along. Supermind felt great. Uncle Danny felt great. Diosa Della Danza felt great. She is going to be entering the LASEX program for her first start on Monday. We wanted to make sure that she was okay as far as her mechanics go. Also, I thought she was pacing good. Wasn't at her knee at all. I let her roll right into the turn. Never got at her knee at all. She felt good. They all felt good. Emerald Tom felt great this morning also. So it was a good start to my day. A little more hectic than I wanted it. I wanted a more methodical approach this morning, but you know, thanks to Jason for being able to accommodate that for me, because I was worried when I got there. You know, am I going to be able to go with everything? Am I going to be able to get everything done? And if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to. So thanks to him for doing that. You know, we started our day and finished our day with a couple of poor trips. And it was just, you know, I was so excited because we're back now. The day before wasn't bad, but certainly had its hollow points, right? The fillies all scope sick in Philadelphia. Not sick, but a little bit. Tim had got their blood work back today. There's definitely some things we can work on. Memento Mori was flat. I talked about that in yesterday's video. Aunt Lily showed a little blood and mucus. Talked about that. We need to be much, much more aggressive. All those horses that showed any mucus or any blood, at least over this way, can go in Dr. Latessa's salt room that he has there. That'll help dry them up as they get closer to the race. And then, of course, it wasn't all bad. Gorgeous Package raced good. Chicago Hall and Gaslight Hall all raced good today. Those horses arrived here yesterday. Gaslight Hall, Jog Good, I was told. So did Steady Bolo, Resolve Indeed, and then obviously Rock Shining Star was over to Tim. So yesterday, 3-point blue chip, parked the whole way. You know, I wanted to. I know Sean Johnson, he's a great guy, but it's not like we're best buddies, right? And my advice would be, when you're going out of the gate with a horse that's 5 or 6 to 1 and leaving into horses that are 2 to 1, you have to give them a reason to let you go, or they won't. Right? You can't sit third in the outside and look to get in a hole and then have the guy shut it on you and have to push forward. That's an absolute 100% instant park job for anybody, right? And you can't waffle. When you're on those types of horses coming from the outside, you have to have your eye set on the 3-hole. I'm going to drive into the 3-hole. I'm going to get in the 3-hole or the front end, or just take back. It's tougher to get in the middle than it is the front. If you blast out of there as hard as you can, well, they're going to be forced to let you go and remove, right? That's leaving 101. Take back, there's always the spot you were supposed to be in. You can always get away 6th or 7th. But when you start hunting for that 3-hole with the 5, 6, 7 to 1 shots, it's really tough to get in there, right? Unless your buddy is sitting to the left of you, it's really tough to get in there, and that's what happened yesterday. So a little, I would say, and I think he'd be the first to tell you, maybe a little indecisive going into the first turn. You know, should I push on the lead, or should I look for this 3-hole? You know what, I'm going to look for this 3-hole. Oh, it's not there anymore. And that's pretty much what happened. And, you know, I've been there. But when it comes to those types of horses, the 3-hole has to be a gift almost, right? If you're going to race, you got to race for the front end, or you got to take back, because it really has to be given the middle portion of the mile. So 3-point blue chip ended up parked the whole way. Not what I wanted to see. Manhattan Money. I have put him on the gate. I don't like doing it because it gets really choppy and pacey. But again, from the outside, as you come out of that turn, it's much more easy to manipulate him in that regard. Had he done that with the 1-2-3 hole, there's a small chance he might have been on the run, but he wasn't. Clear to the front. Long shot comes, runs him into the ground, and he ends up second. I thought it was going to be Chris Lems that beats him on the end of it, but as it turned out, it was not Chris Lems. It was Chris Shaw. It was Chris that beat him. But Chris Shaw beat him at the wire. Good-looking horse too that beat him. He was beat fair and square. He just finds a way to keep leaving himself to the numbers of 3, and that's fine. When he gets out of that class, he's going to head to Northfield and race in the condition claimer numbers of 4 up to numbers of 7, where I think he'll be effective. But that's a good class for him right there, right now. Perfection Hanover, Dave Pelone had messaged me after, talked about the horses, about the guy running him on the front end, and then Perfection Hanover, he said if he stayed left, he thought he would have been second. The horse raced pretty good. Yeah, I think he still should have been second, but he raced pretty good the way he did. I think 56-28 on the end of it. He's turning into a decent horse. I wouldn't call him a bad horse by any stretch, but do we continue to hope that he's better? Yeah, a little bit. And then Woodmere Betcha, just beaten for 3rd, finished 4th in Summerside at Summerside Raceway. Thought he raced. I thought she raced well, running in really bad. I'm pretty sure Smitty had taken the pulls off of her. He thought that maybe she was fighting them. I suspect. I couldn't tell. The camera wasn't perfect, but definitely running in throughout the mile. So I haven't spoke to Smitty. I know he still feels terrible over Save America, so he's been a little bit quiet in that regard. But as I told him, it's just, what are you gonna do? It's racing. We can beat our heads against the wall and dwell on it, but forward. We need to march forward. That's the best way to do that. So I'll talk to him about Betcha and Bullet later on today, likely. So that's what took place with Woodmere Betcha. Decent mile though, finished 4th. And then the bulk of our night. This would be the top of our order, near the bottom of the order. Last night, Captain Incredible. I know that another horse was taking money, and he looked good. Dave said, throughout the summer, I felt he had that raw speed and raw talent. His first couple of starts, and then as we get into the heat of the summer and everybody can pace with him, now he's slowly pushing forward. He said, Anthony, the horse was good, very good. I was happy with him. He said, I think he'll like Kentucky a lot more. The track's softer, and it'll give him a chance to really stretch out in a good way, because he's racing against horses he's supposed to beat. And rather than, there was a couple of starts in the middle, he chased Ronnie's horse, and there was another horse, the horse Dave was driving, the Wild Bill Wyatt, chased him also. So that did him some good. But we all want to see this horse jump forward in a big way, but the reality is it's going to be baby steps. He is a good horse, not the horse we wanted him to be yet, but that is not to say that he can't get there, and this is the path to get him there. The rest is up to him, right? There's nothing I can do to make him be the horse we want him to be, but when I look at his attitude, it's great. When I look at his work ethic, it's right on point. When I look at his body language, everything about him makes you believe he's going to be a fast horse. He just isn't, and he is a fast horse, I shouldn't say that. He just isn't quite to where we want him to be just yet. But hopefully, as I said, we're on the right path. And then Perfect Thought last night, I talked to Scotty for a while. He said, and here's the thing, I didn't want him to put her on the front because he thought that that's where I wanted her to be, or that's what I wanted, but that's what I wanted him to do. I wanted him to be on the front. I hoped he was on the front because of the faith he had in the filly, and that's exactly what he said to me today. He said, Anthony, I still think she's the best filly in New Jersey. He said, the other filly, that's her 4th start, that's ours first, and when I started her up, had I revved her engine up before, as Dexter was starting out of the hole, I might have beat him, maybe not, but it would have been really close. He said, I wanted to wait as long as I could because, she was scratched last week. We couldn't train her super hard. He said, I wanted to wait as long as I could. He said, but I'm going to tell you something. I sit on that horse's back next week. I think it's a different story, which I was happy to hear. He said, definitely those are the 2 best fillies in New Jersey. And those are the fillies in New Jersey, the whole race. He said, so it's, he was very, very happy with her. And I was happy that she ended up on the front because he wanted her there, not because he thought I wanted her there, which I certainly didn't care how Scott raced the filly last night. I have a lot of faith in him. And then Spitfire overseas, and that was it. Just crushed me at the end of the night. Makes that break coming off the car, and he'd been training good. And I had said to Jason, you just want to send this horse back to the Meadows or back to Ontario? Just let me know. And he said, no, if it's an hours at 3,500 at Northfield, if it's a lot of races everywhere, just you race him next week, and there won't be a problem. He said, I thought he was coming in good, but the one thing I did notice was going to the gate, he was all lathered up again. I hadn't seen him like that in a while. He always used to when he was a baby, but the problem I have with that is that's him washing out, right? That's sweat, electrolytes. He's washing himself out before the start of the race. So how do we keep him from doing that? How do we hydrate him in this heat? And that's something we have to work on also, I think. But next week we race him at home at Northfield. You won't see that, right? You won't see that stress. You won't see him washing out going to the gate. So we'll race him in Northfield, and then where we decide to go with him will be up to us. But obviously I do want to keep a close eye on this horse. This horse, it's now, from what I can see, wasted a couple of starts. We were put in a class we didn't want to be in. It drew the outside, or it just $0, I think, last 4 starts for a horse that I think is a quality animal. So we need to do a better job putting him in somewhere where he can do. And I really thought he was in a great spot last night. I really did. And Brett has done such a great job with him his whole life. I had no concerns. That was going to be our turnaround race. I was happy with Perfect Thought and Captain Incredible. I'm coming in sharp. I just want to see a good race to finish the night. And then I didn't. So that's that. I'm on my way over now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm going to be tight. Tighter than usual for It Looks Like Money. If I don't make up 5 minutes, 6 minutes between now and then, I might not be able to drive Looks Like Money today. So I did everything as quickly as I could today, and if I don't drive them, that's 100% on me. I opted to make sure that the babies were all trained up good, but I should have been out of bed, and I should have been to the barn about 40 minutes earlier than I was. So my apologies. He is racing in race 1. Then we have Tenacious Hanover not that long after that. Texong Soprano races this afternoon at Pocono Downs. Patrick the Piranha races today. Where do we draw with old Patty? 7-hole. I'm going out of there with him today. I'm not taking him back again. This is like 8 years in a row. It feels like that we've not left with this horse. Leland Hanover's today. Rock Shining Star drew 8, but he's going out of there also today. Riding the rodeo tonight. Highest Honors and Freedom Hill tonight also. Got to get these horses back on track and racing hard. And, you don't want to push. You don't want to force. You don't want to do something you shouldn't. But you know what? We're here to race, and I suspect we're going to race pretty hard this afternoon. That is my plan. So, with that, I will let you go. I am, as I said, I got to make up 6 minutes between now and Northfield Park. Let's see if I can do it. Take care.